What's going on, everyone? This is Griever back here with a very late Shuumatsu no Valkyrie chapter 36 review of God's Destruction and Storm or something like that, the chapter title. See, the reason I waited this long, not only was I sick last week and work and a bunch of stuff, but also there's a really poor translation out. I feel like that's what I just read. I waited. I went to a reputable site, but I still don't think I really got the good translation. Apparently, it's the Spanish translation, then Google translated from Spanish to English. So it's a little rough around the edges, to say the least. But either way, it's been long enough. I'm just going to review it. There's not any major details that I think slipped through the cracks due to translation problems. So this chapter actually made me like Shiva a little bit, because I know very little about the Indian gods, right? I know very little about the gods of India. It's not one of the mythologies that I was more familiar with. I knew about Shiva, the elephant, and that's about it, right? And so that being said, I decided to do a little bit of reading over the past couple of months, being into Record of Ragnarok or Shuumatsu no Valkyrie, and I came across, this is very odd to me, and I actually had to look it up, because during this fight, they're just being headbutt, they're going at it, blah, 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 but at the end of the day, Shiva and Raiden seem to be sort of toe-to-toe for each other, hit for hit, blow for blow, and now they're just headbutting each other like crazy, and Shiva seems to remembering. We're starting to get Shiva's backstory. Of course, we need Shiva's, then we'll get Raiden's, and then we'll get the conclusion of the fight, right? So, because that's the standard practice for every fight so far in Valkyrie. I don't mind it, you guys don't mind it, we both like it. It'd be interesting, actually, if we got the full backstory of a character before their fight, and then we get their fight. Then, not that it's wasted time, but I feel like the chapter fights would go a lot quicker as a result if we didn't have chapters like this and stuff like that, where it's just delving into their backstory, flashback time, right? But here's what was really interesting about this chapter, because that's the first 5-7 pages, whatever, right? They're just going blow for blow. And then Shiva begins to remember a long time ago, back when India was not, the gods weren't this, the gods weren't that, and everything was chaos, right? Okay. We had two gods. Now, usually, from what I've read, this Rudra, I think is his name. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Rudra is another name for Shiva. It's his other personality, it's his other face. Some people have depicted Shiva as bipolar. You have Shiva, who's tranquil and all la-da-da-da-da. Then you have Rudra, who's let's kill shit. That is sort of the dynamic I interpreted it as. And in the context of Valkyrie, I love what they did here. Instead of making Rudra another personality, making Shiva bipolar or something like that. We've seen that in anime so many times, right? It's always happened. It's you have two versions. You flip the coin. You see when the eyes go red. Okay, it's the other personality. I mean, Rosary Vampire, Air Gear, Tensho Tenge, they had this in so many different, it's a totally different person, during the thing. So I was kind of okay, I know it's mythology and they can still do that, they can do their own thing, but I was really happy to see this backstory. This backstory made me like Shiva a lot more. I'm not a huge fan of Shiva. Shiva's alright to me, but I kind of think he would have got his ass kicked by Adam, but so he hasn't really impressed me too much. His personality's kind of meh, but this backstory definitely did some good for his character, if nothing else. They were strong gods, but they were little known way back when and stuff like that. And you got to take poetic license with all this. Rudra is the one who wants to train and reach the top and be there. They were opposite. I like how they include the fact that that very classic, from what I've understood, Rudra and Shiva, same god, right? Just another name for the same god. However, a lot of people have depicted it as, here's the one who gets quick to anger, here's the one that's tranquil, here's the one who is destruction, here's the one who's sort of like, laid back. And they represent that here perfectly. They're like, had opposite personalities, yet the best of friends and all this, brothers in arms and stuff. And I really like this because we see that even though like he just wants to dance and he convinced, the god of storms and fighting, he convinced him, take a breather, chillax, let's smoke a joint, let's get drunk, let's just chillax, yo. And that kind of idea. And on the opposite side, when Rudra was like, I want to reach the top, let's go and have fun fights, let's fight, let's do this, he was like, well, there's nothing I can do, I'll follow you because, we're best friends. Like, they had this, and I've experienced this in my personal life, people that I shared common interest in, but had left-right personalities, left-right opinions about the same subject sort of idea, right? Like, even if you take something simple like a love for video games or something, right? We always had different opinions on what was the worst video game, what was the best video game, what was good about this, what was bad about that. So even though we both shared a love of video games as a general concept, couldn't be more polar opposites. I'm still friends with this guy to this day, known him since 3rd, 4th grade. So, like, it made total sense to me. It resonated with me. I could understand it, and I was 100% behind it, There's just a certain level, and Shiva's character and Rudra's character, I really like Rudra. Rudra reminds me of Zack from Final Fantasy VII. That's what he reminds me of from like the Crisis Core games and all that stuff. He really did maybe it's just a hairstyle sort of idea, but really reminded me of Zack, his good nature, just got to keep training, got to reach the top of the mountain, got to be the best, He, very classic, I really enjoyed his character. I like his character design, think he was really cool. I like the idea that these gods decided to split them into 2 separate people, and this is what's going down. So the chapter is pretty basic. This isn't going to be a very long review, guys, because all it does is show us that he's reminiscing right now in years long past, millennia ago. He and Rudra were these characters. Shiva wasn't the be-all and end-all god of all of India. Him and Rudra were considered inferior gods. They were just, they were sort of nameless. They had their names, like god of destruction, god of storms, but they weren't anything special. And they constantly were fighting and bickering with everybody else. And but they were powerful, and they enjoyed their time together. They were best friends, brothers in arms. They enjoyed a good fight. They enjoyed dancing together. Lots of fun jazz, right? And at the end of the day, Rudra was the one who said, like, I'm going to tell you something. I want to go with you to the top. Like, will you come with me? Nobody's ever sat at the very pinnacle and saw what is to be seen up there at the top of India. I want to sit on that mountaintop. I want to be number 1. Will you come with me? It's sort of like I could hear, I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. I could hear that as I was reading the dialogue. I was just like, okay, this dude is like a really badass version of Ash Ketchum. Actually, the hair and everything, if you put it like a vest on the dude and took it, he could be like a 35-year-old version of Ash, He's got the hair, the hair's spiky and stuff, and he's got, I could see a mature version of Ash being like this, still a dreamer, still like, yeah, I love adventure and Pokemon battles. He's like, I like adventure and fighting. It's the same deal. Like, I really saw that sort of thing in him, that sort of innocence almost, and I really liked it. I thought, like, Rudra, I like a lot more than Shiva, even though Shiva has this, backstory for him, for us to like him more. Personally, I like Rudra. Ironically, once again, he's, in other than Valkyrie, in actual mythology and religion, they're basically supposed to be the same person, same god. But either way. Nonetheless, that's basically the chapter. There's not really a whole lot else. That's basically where the chapter ends. I'm assuming this is going to end really tragically. Rudra's going to die. If gods can die, gods can die. We've seen it. So, I'm assuming that Rudra is dead in some way. Maybe Shiva killed him. Maybe he died getting to the top and then Shiva took the top. Or maybe there was some grand overseer above them that basically said, you two have reached the top. Congratulations. You are now the gods of India, undisputed. Now fight to the death. There can only be one. Maybe some shit like that happened. Who the hell knows? But yeah, this chapter, if this was the only translation we're going to get for a long time, I'm glad it's a chapter like this. There's not a whole lot of really important dialogue, explanations. We don't have Brunhild with panels where the Hunter x Hunter explanation level, Death Note friggin' super murder mystery levels of dialogue that's none of this is making a whole lot of sense because of poor translation. So this was they fight Shiva's backstory part 1. That's what it boils down to. It was simple. I liked it. I managed to get through it even with the poor translation. And yeah, I liked the chapter. Thought it was pretty good. Probably will also not live stream chapter 37 when that comes out. I'll probably just review that as well. I like to keep the live streams. I know I did quite a few of them, but I like to keep the live streams more for the conclusion of fights. More so than just every single month do a chapter reaction sort of idea. I like to still keep to my reviews. So either way, guys, what did you think of the chapter? And do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? Whatever. Just let me know in the comment section down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Always appreciate it. This has been Griever with your Shuumatsu no Valkyrie, also called Record of Ragnarok, Chapter 36 review. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. Drink responsibly as always. See you back here next time. Peace out.